Hello mates, welcome to The Whisky Bothy. I'm Ralphie, your host. I review whisky and I provide reviews of whisky which tend not to be AI generated. I'm sure you've seen these videos. I've seen these videos. Everybody's seen these videos because there are thousands of them now out there. They'll probably be releasing about 100 a day or probably more, and they tell you these are the worst whiskies, these are the best whiskies, these are rubbish, these are great, and they tend to be more simplistic than is useful to us. I'd just like to reassure you that I am not yet an AI generated image. Not completely. And my opinion remains my own. In my opinion, this is a banger of an Irish whisky and I'm going to review it for you. Right, this is review number 1121, I think. I might have got that wrong, but hey, never mind. If I have, I'll get it right in the actual description. Last week, I reviewed, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, and it was a bottle of Bowen Madeira cask matured authentic Irish whisky, because I'm at the stage in this channel, I've reviewed Redbreast, I've reviewed Green Spot, I've reviewed, back in the mists of time, a Bushmill somewhere, but frankly I really don't want to buy these brands now. I've kind of moved on from them, because we're now seeing far more interesting whiskies from smaller distilleries, which do not homogenise and engineer their whisky to the same extent that corporate multinationals do, simply because they're providing their product to a far, far wider market, which may be interested in the brand, but not particularly interested and certainly not particularly knowledgeable about whisky. My channel is one of these, yeah, I'll just say it. It's one of these channels where there's no expertise as such, but rather experience. It's just experience. I'm sharing my journey. And back in the mists of time, sure, I enjoyed Redbreast as an Irish whisky alternative. And then I saw the prices go up and I saw the quality go down. And I remember Jameson's, when you could get the Crested 10. What a great version of Jameson's that was. I enjoyed it. In fact, I reviewed it many, many years ago in this channel. Excuse me, I've got a speck of dust in my eye. Oh, you get these in old Dunnage warehouse style bothies. Get the water up. Excuse me, I need my teaspoon as well. The measuring device. Very old fashioned, but it still works. So where was I? Yeah, you know, I had my moment, because these whiskies are a really good introduction to Irish whisky. But with the resurgence of the new Irish whisky distilleries, things have become more exciting. Let me tell you right now, the Irish people are keeping the best for themselves. They know what the best is, they buy it, and it's not really available even in the UK. And by the way, quite right too. However, when I was buying the Bowen Irish single malt pot still multi-grain delight that it was, to review for St. Patrick's Day, quite by accident, I was just doing a general search online, because this is what you do, to see if anything else has been bottled out there that nobody's really talking about. It's not an official bottling, it's an independent bottling, it's something a little bit eccentric, and here it is. This is a Scotch whisky independent bottler, rare find Glenmore, right? And they have bottled an Irish whisky, Cooley Distillery, 19 years old, single cask, unchill filtered, natural colour. I'm telling you, the sound's just getting, the references here are just getting better and better. And it's bottled at 53.8%. Now, it's 19-year-old whisky. I'm going to kind of stick my neck out a little bit and suggest that if an Irish distillery bottled anything at 19 years old, they'd be looking for about 250 to 300 euros a bottle. I bought this for £165 a bottle in the UK. This is a Scotch whisky independent bottler getting hold of a cask of Irish whisky which has matured in Ireland, because under the law it must mature in Ireland and be bottled in Ireland. Product of Ireland, that's what it says. Single cask. Distilled in 2002. Now it's expensive, but single cask old Irish whiskies, let me tell you, they're thin in the ground. This has been a Caribbean rum cask finished. However, they don't. I'm going to have a quick look. Where's my steampunker? Oh, jeez, oh, there it is. Steampunker. A quick look to see if I can provide you with any more useful information. And the fact is, not really. Distilled 2002, bottled 2021. So this has already been sitting out in the market for about 5 years. Not selling. Because nobody's noticing it. Cooley Distillery is what really got me into Irish whiskey big time. See, Cooley Distillery was a new distillery in Dundalk back in the day when there were no new Irish distilleries. The Irish whisky scene was absolutely dominated by Bushmills and Jamesons. And if you were lucky, you'd come across the fairly bland Tullamore Dew, and there's not a lot more else to say about Irish whisky back in the day. Certainly in 2002 that was the case. So when I saw the first bottlings called Tyrconnell from Cooley Distillery, which originally started as a project to recycle unwanted potatoes into vodka, allegedly, excuse me, got an incoming missile here. Are you coming up or what? Make your mind up. Right, tell you what, give it your treats. And go away and leave Daddy in peace. There you go. I shouldn't be rewarding cats for bad behaviour, but it's not bad behaviour, and I just like to reward them anyway. Because I'm his cat daddy, and I take my responsibilities seriously. So, back to this Cooley. It was a bottle of Cooley that... What struck me was it had substance of character compared to the Bushmills, and it was different, and it was definitely not Jameson's, and although you could, with great difficulty, you could find green and yellow spot, and red spot and blue spot were unobtainable. There was just no sign of them at that point. Your choices from Ireland, considering how geographically close it is to Scotland, were frankly abysmal. And that's changing now. I think the Irish distilleries are realising they can't just overcharge for under-matured whisky and expect people to automatically buy. And they can't use too many cliches as well. So if you see a bottle of a glass-blown bottle with a little green leprechaun and a smiley face and a tumbler beside it and stained green glass, and it seems like a good price as a souvenir from Dublin or something, don't touch with a barge pole, because the chances are it's the crap that's getting bottled to shift it to the tourists. They do the same thing in Scotland. So when I came across Cooley, something that I wasn't quite sure about, but I quickly discovered it's double distilled Irish whisky. A lot of Irish whisky is triple distilled, and yes, they will deny it at times, but column stills are used as well as pot stills in some of the brands. Nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is the lack of transparency and disclosure. However, the times are changing now, because we're 24 24 years later since this was distilled. And I couldn't resist it. This is the most expensive bottle of whisky I've bought so far in 2026. It's cost me £165. That's a lot of money. But I'm going to tell you why I bought it. Obscurity, rarity. And I know for a fact this independent bottler tends to bottle good stuff. And good stuff is basically whisky which is actually bottled when it's ready. So what have we got? And I know. Ralphie, it's not fair. There's no way I can find this where I am. So why are you wasting time reviewing this when what we want to hear about is cask strength Ardbeg 10-year-old, which is not available where I am yet. And I'll get round to it. It's on the list for later. I'm not getting my hopes up too high. But with this, if this sells, more will be bottled, because every and any business is governed by commercial sensibility. On my channel, here at the Whisky Bothy, I do occasionally review obscure whiskies, so as you know they're out there and you've got some point of reference as to actually what they smell like and taste like. So let's go for it. Soft, juicy, barley sugar, little bit of honey, in fact more than a little bit of honey, and a soft, understated complexity, reminiscent of independent bottlings of Benrinnes. It has perfume notes, it has herbaceous notes, it has soft spice notes, it has a little bit of grain sour, barley sour to it. The nose is really interesting, but it's quite shy. This is what you can expect from completely non-peated Irish whiskies, is that they don't take on drama with age. They're generally better when the age is understated and delicately delivered to complement the refinement of the actual whisky, rather than to overimpose on it like some sherry monster, or in this case it would be a rum tornado, or whatever you'd want to call it. The rum cask influence, you're really not noticing it in the nose. It's more like bourbon, but when you come to the taste, you'll get that little delicate rum note. As a cask strength whisky, big, minty, green, honeycomb, soft caramel, mocha, delicate crystallized citrus fruits, candy fruits. The first taste is just magnificent, actually. What you have is a light, fruity whisky which has spent 19 years in casks, which have added fruitiness while retaining the lightness. And that is, it's a very good result. You're getting more whisky out this relatively anonymous bottle than you'd get from heavily marketed mainstream brands at 4 times the price. I've had my first sip, no problem, neat, high strength, very high strength, 53.8%. So this whisky has weathered in the cask very successfully over the years. So in other words, it suggests to me undisturbed maturation in a traditional dunnage style warehouse or a low level warehouse, certainly a coastal one. This hasn't been given an industrial factory environment for maturation, which tends to be a little bit more aggressive in its activity. You only have to look at modern warehouses to see that. I'll add some water soon, but I just want to have another smell and another sip of this. There's so much going on at really the very first stage. Again, the nose still restrained, a little bit of marshmallow coming in, a little bit of soft banana, some little russet apple in the background coming forward, a delicate peach note. Again, the honeycomb is on the nose now. Now that I've registered in the palate, because smell and taste engage with one another, so you get this effect. Just a little on the tongue, big, generous arrival, tangy, sweet and sour, intense, more tanginess, pickled pineapple, soft banana, that marshmallow note, herbaceous note, chamomile, honeysuckle, most definitely. You know, I could really bang on for another 5 minutes with all the flavour points that I'm picking up on here. But what I will say is that for a mean old Scotsman like myself, who is very reluctant to pay over £100 a bottle for any whisky, no matter what its age, I feel that for the £165 I paid, I'm getting a reward here with a genuinely authentic, beautifully matured, engaging and just delightful whisky, which of course, malt mates, is why I'm reviewing it. I mean, I could have plonked down a bottle of Johnny Walker in the barrel here, gone for it and told you what fabulous cocktails it makes. But there's tens of thousands of videos out there doing just that. How many videos out there are you going to see in an obscure single cask bottling, vintage bottling of Irish, authentic Irish whisky? Not a lot. The versimetry is very quickly assimilated into the spirit. It's still kind of mixing in there, but it's almost there. The versimetry, it's kind of holding on actually. It's kind of holding on more than it did with the last pour I did 2 days ago when I was doing my final notes in this. Let's just go for it. I've added 5 millilitres of water. There's a big difference, got to know the difference. I remembered the difference, hence I've upgraded my measurements to you. On the nose, more intense. You find this. See, with these concentrated whiskies, you add water, it dilutes the alcohol, but it actually creates more flavour. There's a flavour rush coming out of the whisky into the glass and up the nose, and it's another endorsement as to quality. It really is a sign of the vitality of this whisky. And the nose, it's a little bit softer, but more intense, more syrup, soft caramel, vanilla, barley sugar, absolutely. It's slightly aromatic, it is slightly minty, and there's some green notes about it. Soft, understated green notes. Could you pour this for someone and they think it was a Scotch whisky? Yes, no problem at all. This is double distilled Irish whisky, not triple distilled. And therefore, there's more flavour forward because of the simple practicalities of the distilling process. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Taste. Give me a minute. The arrival just keeps going and going. You're into the development, but you still feel you're in the arrival of this. Exquisite, dense, bourbon rich. I mean, they're saying rum cask, and the rum is probably accounting for the caramel note and probably the soft marshmallow note in this Irish whisky. But it could be 100% fresh bourbon, first fill bourbon, and then recast into more first fill bourbon casks, and you'd get, I'd say, a similar result. Wonderfully springtime like. So you walk out and the grass is growing. It's the end of winter, and the daffodils are almost over, and you get daffodil notes off of this. So it's springtime in Ireland, and this is it in a glass, and it's rather magnificent. The development has got this wonderful soft mints and phenols, green phenol notes, kiwi fruit, a little bit of mango in there just to give it density and weight along with the apple. And then this confectionery camphor note right into the finish with a zest of sour bitter at the finish, which is not like any citrus fruit. It's something else completely different, and I've never actually tasted it before. So it's excellent. It's actually one of the finest, it's the finest Irish whiskey I've ever tasted. And I've tasted quite a few. 90 out of 100. Totally earned. Wasn't expecting it. Still concerned about the price. But my goodness, what a reward. I tripped over this. I never knew about it until I was doing a search, and then I found it. And that, malt mates, really happens on Whiskey Journeys. And I hope it happens to you before too long. Something you never saw, never expected, and it just appears. You take a punt once you've done your research, and you're very, very well rewarded. See you soon for review number 1121 extras, in which I will be talking about how we change as whiskey changes. See you there. Red clicker says time to go.